And I just turned around and I hauled ass out of there. I was done. I wasn't dealing with that.
The hypocrisy of the cult is one of the things that turned me away the quickest.
When I turned my headlights on, it turned and looked at us, and one of the things I remember the most were the eyes were glowing red.
I see an orb of light. It is just circling these steps like it is waiting for me.
And he begins to tell them that he saw a UFO. They're basically like, what are you talking about? That's 7 foot up on a tree, peeking around it, and that's where I saw the top of the muzzle, nose, and the eyes. As soon as I made eye contact with this thing, it felt like death.
Welcome back to Tinfoil Tales. Today I'm joined by my guest, Tim. Tim, thanks for coming on here and talking to me.
Hey, not a problem, Brandon. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, not a problem. We've kind of known each other on and off for the last year and a half, 2 years, just from the cryptid events that we've vendored at. But would you like to let the audience know a little bit about yourself before we get into it?
Sure. My name is Timothy Wayne Williams. I kind of go by the three names because it's more memorable than Tim Williams. So I've been like doing the serial killer thing and using the three names. It just people remember it better. But anyway, I am a oil painter out of Indianapolis. I'm part of the Indiana contingent that you're part of, that we hang out when we're doing shows together. But I am an oil painter, and I'm best known for my series of hidden Bigfoot paintings, where I've taken normal landscapes and I hide a Bigfoot somewhere in them, and surprisingly, they've really kind of done well. I've been able to put out a couple calendars and a book, and so it's that's going well. I'm a former musician. There's some people still know me more as a musician than a painter. Every now and then I'll run into somebody who's like, "Hey, weren't you supposed to be a rock star?" I'm like, "Yeah, that didn't work out real well." So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm all about.
I know a lot of people in the cryptid community somehow have some sort of connection to music. So
Yeah, that is true. Isn't that weird?
So that's how I got started too. I used to do music, but here I am.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. I was going to be a rock star, and then that blew up. Not in a good way. Not in a good way. So this was my fallback. It was like, maybe I'll try painting.
Did
Like the first year I started painting, I made more money than I did the whole time
Right.
I had played music. There's just no money.
Yeah.
You know?
That's, you don't play music, especially heavy metal music, to try and make money, because you spend a lot more money than you ever do earning money.
Yep.
I tell people the same thing with podcasting. You don't do a podcast to make money because you end up spending more money than you ever make, unless you become super famous like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Did I know we've kind of talked before, like in person and everything, but for the audience sake, what drove you to add Bigfoot to your paintings? Like, where did they come up with the idea of just hiding a Bigfoot into your paintings?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing, I mean, it was just this dumb little thing I was doing. I was literally listening to a podcast about cryptids, and I was doing just a normal landscape. I did fine art shows for years and years, and so I was just doing like another fine art painting, and I just, because of the podcast, I got inspired, and I was all like, that'd be funny if I just hid a little Bigfoot in the background. I was like, I won't tell anyone. It'll just be for my own amusement. And so I did that. I probably sold, a couple dozen paintings and never told the people there was a Bigfoot in it. I just didn't think anyone would be that interested. So one day I was having a really slow art show, and to just keep people in my booth, I showed these people one of the paintings. I'm like, see if you can find Bigfoot in this, And before I knew it, they were standing around, and more people got interested, and then before long, I mean, it was just tons of people in my booth. And then when I got home, I thought, I wonder if there's any Facebook groups about Bigfoot, and there's a million of them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I started joining groups right and left, and I just would approach the groups and just say, "Hey, what do you guys think of this? Is this cool? What do you think?" And it really blew up. And like in the some of the first paintings I shared, I was getting like 1,000 likes, between a few different shows and or groups. I mean, Facebook groups. And so I was kind of like, all right, this is the most exposure I've gotten in a long, long time. So I want to blend two of my big interests, the paranormal and, painting. And so, yeah, I kept doing it. And I gained some kind of well known, matter of fact, we discussed him before. Doug Hychak
Mm-hmm.
was really, he used to do Monster Quest. He was kind of into what I was doing, and we ended up. I worked with his publishing company, and we put out a couple calendars, and those did real well. After after the calendars, I decided I wanted to do a book because I was realizing calendars like have a shelf life.
Right.
After a
Yeah.
while, like nobody wants that calendar anymore. So yeah, so I got with a different publisher for the book, and so I've had the book available for about a year now.
How long have you been doing the hidden Bigfoot paintings?
Ooh, probably 4.5 years, something
Mm,
like that.
yeah.
Maybe a little longer. When I first started doing it, it was just like here or there. I was just every so often I'd do one, and then after I quit my day job, I was in screen printing. I was a production manager and the graphic designer for a printing company for years and years and years, and I was finally making enough money that I was able to quit that job and hide Bigfoot for a living.
Mhm.
So, but now I do like one or two hidden Bigfoot paintings a week,
Yeah.
among other things.
Yeah. Maybe one day that'll be the dream for me. Not to be a Bigfoot painter, but to not have to have a day job anymore.
Yeah, and I tell people it's like I'm living day to day. It's not that easy.
Right. Yeah.
There'll be weeks where it's just like I really need a sale.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing I say is I'm not destitute. I'm not becoming rich, but I'm not destitute, and I can live with that.
Yep. As long as you're content and happy with it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we have talked a little bit about some things, but I know you've had a couple of experiences that you said you'd like to share on the show. So if you would like to talk about some of the things that you've dealt with, I can turn it over to that.
Sure, absolutely. Probably my favorite story. It's super creepy. I say it's like a demonic encounter. I've had other opinions on what this was, but I think it's demonic. So I was in high school, and I had started a rock band in high school, and we were doing pretty good. And we decided to pool our money together and rent this big. It's kind of like an event barn, kind of like a pole barn. There was like really nothing to it. It was just like a big metal building that had like nothing to it. On the inside, there was like two garage doors, a stage, seating, a bar that you could use for a snack bar or something else, and then the in and out door. That's all there was in this building. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing to it, and so we rented this thing out, and we were going to put on a big showcase show for everyone. And the night before that show, we were setting up all the gear, and we were almost done. We were kind of almost in the middle of the area that you put the soundboard.
Right.
We were in that area. And we were all just standing around, basically saying goodbye. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow and everything. And then all of a sudden, we hear this loud, cackling laugh just out of nowhere. This laugh. And we look up, and sitting on one of our bass speakers was this short guy. He looked like Scatman Crothers, if you remember him. He looked kind of like him. He was the guy who told the kid in The Shining about what The Shining was.
Yeah.
So he looked like that guy. And he was just sitting on our speaker, just laughing his head off. And we're all looking at each other like, where did he come from? And what is he doing here? And like, what is so funny? So we all got a little creeped out, and everyone's like, someone's got to go up and talk to him. So everyone kind of pushes me forward, and I go up to the guy, and I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing here? What's going on? And he says, hey, I got something for you. You're going to love this. You're going to absolutely love this. And just like out of a cartoon, this was so weird. He puts his hand behind his back, and he pulls out a stack full of Polaroids. He could barely keep his fingers around him. It was just a huge stack. And he starts handing me these Polaroids like one by one, and they're super pornographic. I mean, really nasty. And I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's a pimp. I'm like, I still don't know how he got in the building, but this is weird. He's a pimp. So I'm like, oh man, no, absolutely not interested, And he's like, no, man, I can get you anything. I'm like, okay, maybe he's doing, maybe this is about drugs. I don't know. So I'm like, dude, I don't want anything from you. We're good. And he kind of just stops me, and he looks me dead in the eyes, and he's like, no, listen, what do you want? What do you need? Just tell me, what do you want? And that really creeped me out. Just the way he looked at me, it was like he changed. He went like from just kind of happy and laughing to got, super serious and making really scary eye contact. Well, one of the other guitarists came up behind me, and he's like, he's checking out the Polaroids. I'm like, dude, come on, let's leave this guy alone. So I kind of drag him back to the soundboard, and I'm the space from where that guy was to the soundboard was 20 feet, maybe. I don't know, maybe less. It wasn't that far. And in the time it took for me to walk back, we all huddled. And you know how you do that thing where when you're getting ready to talk about somebody, you kind of look over your shoulder to make sure they're not listening,
Mm-hmm.
So I look over my shoulder, and the guy's gone, just completely gone. And I'm like, wait, where did that dude go? And so we're all like, he's got to be hiding, because we had closed the garage doors, and the main door that you go in and out, he would have walked right by us to go out that door. And so I'm like, that dude is hiding in here somewhere. So we tear the place apart looking for this guy. And there's nothing to this building. We don't know how he got in, and we don't know how he got out. And I mean, I even looked under my drum riser, which had just enough room you could maybe squeeze under. And so, yeah, we looked everywhere. And then we were like, I kind of didn't want to leave, because I was like, he's got to be in here. I'm like, he's going to, maybe he's going to steal our stuff. I don't know. But after a while, it was like, I had to admit he was not in that building. So, so we left, and it was just that creepy thing. Over the years, people have said that was maybe my crossroads moment. Like he was
Yeah.
going to offer me like a deal or something. And I don't know about that, but I will say the creepy look I got and the way the guy got real serious about, you know, what do I want? I mean, he was asking me, what do I want? Not what he can offer me. He was like, what do you want? You know? And that creeped me out big time.
It does remind me of the whole devil at the crossroads
Yeah.
concept. But when you were talking about this, I remembered I read something recently. I say recently, sometime last year, but it was someone's account that they had a run-in with a guy, and they described him as someone in, they didn't call him a pimp, but they described him as dressed in like a long jacket with a weird hat. So, but it was snowing outside, and they met him out in the middle of the road in the snow, and he basically did the same thing that you were describing. He was asking them what they wanted. Like, what do they need? What do they want from them? They kept saying nothing, and he wouldn't leave them alone. He kept asking. And then they said when they finally got back to their vehicle, he was gone. And where he was standing, they said, no, this is where I kind of like, maybe they're just full of crap. But they said that the footprints that walked away from where he was weren't normal footprints. They looked like hooves.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy.
So when you were saying that's what popped in my mind. I was like, the end of theirs was like, it's that straight up good old turn where, he had like the devil hooves or whatever, the goat hooves, but it's similar.
Checked his feet. That would have been wild.
Yeah. I said, it's still the same thing though. Like he was asking them the same type of questions.
Yeah. People have asked me, it's like, well, why do you think he asked you and not any of the other people? And my first thought was, well, I was the one that got pushed up to go talk to him. But after a while, I started thinking about it. And of all of us guys in the band, I was absolutely the most poor and most desperate out of all of us.
The drummer.
And yeah, the drummer, of course. And I mean, I would have done anything to make it. I mean, there was no fallback. I was going to make it or die trying. And so I don't know. Maybe out of all of us, maybe that's why I was approached. But I don't know.
You said the other guy was looking at the pictures and everything. Did he still have the pictures when the guy disappeared?
No. I made him put them down.
Okay.
I'm like, put those down, dude. Let's.
I was say if the guy disappeared and those pictures were still there, I was like, well, there's your evidence that the guy was there.
No kidding. Yeah. I don't know. I was afraid that dude would follow us or something.
Right.
You got my property, and I don't know.
You never know with people or demons or whatever you're dealing with at that point.
Yeah.
So after it first happened, like, what was your first thought of it? Like, did it take you a while to think of like the demonic part to it, or was it kind of just something that stuck to you right off the bat?
Well, it was the creep factor that was the biggest thing. Just it was like that was a creepy thing,
Right.
And me and I know it was our stage guy, the guy who kind of ran our stage stuff. Him and I were best friends, and we talked about that for months. And it was sometime later that it was like, I mean, what if I would have said, what I wanted, was he waiting for me to say, I need to make it, I've got to make it, is that what he was waiting for me to say, and then it got even creepier, to think about.
Some people, and I'll get murdered for saying this on here by listeners, but I think like the concept of like the jinn, which is like an offshoot of genie or whatever, it's kind of similar as like they ask you that type of stuff too. But if you look into the lore of those type of things, it's similar to like the devil at the crossroads too. Like they're asking you what you want. What do you like? It's that same sort of setup.
Yeah. Freaky stuff.
Right. So this was, how many years ago was this?
This was probably like 19. Boy, I'm aging myself here. This is like 1986 1996,
Okay.
probably.
Okay.
I think I was a junior in high school, maybe.
Well, I will say I didn't think you don't look the age of what you just aged yourself to be.
56. Yeah. Well, thanks.
No, I didn't think you were around. I didn't think Todd and Brian were that age either, but
I know how that sucked for me when we were going around, find out how old. I was like, oh, I'm the oldest person here. Great.
and
That was great.
I'm the baby.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
usually the old guy around the people that I'm around. The cryptid things, I'm one of the babies.
Yeah.
I was supposed to let you know that Emily told me she's been finding some Bigfoot in your paintings now.
Oh, nice.
She's
Nice.
looked at them
Very
enough. She's
cool.
able to point them out.
Very cool. Boy, that was that night we all had in Kentucky. I swear, we got so rowdy at our table that I looked over once, and all the celebrities that Maria Mayor and the couple of the dudes from Expedition Bigfoot. I look up and they're all staring at our table. They're like staring daggers. Like those guys are really loud. That was so fun, though.
I didn't think we were any louder than anybody else, but
I don't know. I didn't think so either, but when I looked over, it's like, oh no.
yeah. I said there were some fun times after that too, but I won't talk about that on air.
Right.
So, what's the other experience that you
well,
had?
I have a completely opposite type story. It's actually I think it's an angelic encounter. And this one's, I think, a very unique story. So back when my wife and I first had kids, we were going through a period of time where we were like super poor. We just had no money. And our toilet broke and just wasn't working right. And it became very obvious we needed to buy a new toilet. So I thought, well, I've never done, put a toilet in, but how hard could it be? It's just a stupid toilet. So as I was taking the old one out, I'm like making notes. Okay, this is how it goes back. It's super easy. I'll have this in no time. Well, I take it out and I try to put the new one on, and it's not going on right. It is not fitting right. Something's wrong, and I end up. It's like we didn't have money for a plumber, so I ended up going to like the hardware store, finding like their plumbing expert, and trying to pick their brain. And I'm like, okay, here's my problem. I've got this. It's just not, sealing right, and blah blah blah. And they had no idea what I was talking about. They could not figure it out. And I went to probably two other hardware stores, same deal. They had no idea. Even one of my friends, super good friends, stopped by, and he used to work with his dad, and his dad was a plumber. So he knew all kinds of plumbing stuff. So I thought, okay, great, this will fix it. He'll absolutely know what to do. He came and looked at it, and he's like, dude, I have no idea what's going on here. He's like, this should be working. And so anyway, I'm getting really frustrated. And now we're going on to day 2. Okay. And the family's getting really annoyed not having a bathroom, uh, the bucket in the garage is not getting, everyone's getting really irritated. So anyway, I got real dejected. I was embarrassed. I feel like I let the family down. I know it sounds like a stupid thing, but it's like, man, I wish I made more money, and I wish I knew how to do these things. I wish my dad would have taught me how to do this stuff. And so I was really upset, and I decided I would just go out to another hardware store, and it was mostly just to get out of the house. And so the wife and I went to another hardware store, and so I'm in the plumbing aisle just looking, just looking around. I'm just like, maybe something will jump out at me, something that, makes sense, to fix this problem. And I'm just staring dejected and really bummed. And there's a guy probably about I don't know, 20 feet, and this guy just out of nowhere is like, "Hey, how you doing, man? What you working on?" And I glance over, and this guy is he looked maybe a little homeless, maybe there's some mental diminished something, he seemed kind of weird, a little off, and normally I'm, super friendly, but I was just not in the mood to talk to anybody because I was just like, I got to get this problem solved. I would love to small talk, but I can't right now. I wasn't rude, but I was kind of short with him.
Right.
And but he kept asking me, "Well, what are you working on?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've just got the stupid plumbing problem." He's like, "Well, tell me about it." I'm like, I keep looking at the guy. The guy looks younger than me, and I'm like, "There's no way he's going to know anything about this." you know. So just to get him off my back, I finally said, and I gave him a really rough version. I was like, okay, I was putting this in. This doesn't fit. The seal, this beeswax seal should be, making contact. It's not, and blah blah blah. And the guy just walks just a little ways away from me and grabs his part, brings it back to me, hands it to me. Then he tells me exactly how to put it in. And it's this extension thing I didn't know they made. I didn't know, nobody knew this. I've talked to all these professionals, and none of these people knew about this thing. I don't know why, they should have. But so he hands me this, tells me how to put it in, and I'm just in amazement. I'm like, I I think this actually will solve the problem. This is amazing, I'm in complete awe and I'm dumbstruck. And so he just walks away. And I can still see him in the corner of my eye walking, away down the thing as my wife walks up. My wife says, "Hey, who is that?" I'm like, "You will not believe this. This guy just walked up to me and solved my problem and walk away." And she's like, "Did you thank him?" I'm like, "I think I did, but I'm gonna make sure." So he had just turned down to the next aisle. I mean, I saw this out of the corner of my eye. So I run down there real quick to, thank the guy, and I get in that aisle that he went to, and he is not there. And so that was weird. I was like, okay, he couldn't have, I don't know where he could have gone. But I went up and down a bunch of the aisles looking for this guy, to thank him, and didn't find him. The whole time we were in checkout, I'm like looking around, and I'm like, where the hell did this guy go? This isn't that big a hardware store.
Right.
And so I never did see him again. But I took that part home, put it in, had it going in 10 minutes. It was crazy. So I don't know. I look back on that, the way this guy just insisted on helping me, even though I was doing everything I could to kind of dissuade him, kind of like, I'm good, I'll deal with this. And but the way he was so insistent was just weird. A stranger wouldn't normally be like that. So anyway, that's that story. That I like that one a lot better than the other one.
Yeah, and then here I am thinking, I was like, it's similar to the other one. It's just phrased differently. He asked you what, like, he wanted to help you, and he gave you what you needed. The other guy was asking you what you needed. You didn't tell him.
Yeah, that's funny. I haven't really looked at it like that, but yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
So
Yeah, and people have said, like, well, why would like an angel or whatever,
Right.
guardian spirit or whatever why would they, help you on something like that with the toilet? And I'm like, I have no idea. I why does anything happen? But I just I know I was in a lot of despair and not a good headspace at the time, and so I don't know.
I don't think that things just happen without reason.
Yeah.
I think they happen for the purpose of what they're happening for. So that, like, I don't think there's just a random coincidence that some guy just shows up and knows exactly what you needed to help you. Like, it's almost like it was meant to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both those stories could be put down to coincidence, but they absolutely weren't, you know.
Right.
There was something in the cards for those.
So I struggle just thinking of coincidences in the sense of, well, it was just a coincidence, but I don't think there are coincidences for the most part. Is there? I was going to say.
My mother-in-law had. Go ahead.
I was going to say, was there
Go ahead.
something else? I thought when we talked again, I had been drinking, so I don't really remember all the conversations.
Yeah, me too.
But was there anything else that you had other than those two?
I did think I had saw a UFO.
Yeah, I remember.
And
I thought there was
I
something about a UFO.
Yeah. And actually, I just saw another UFO like 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure it was really wild. Well, I'll tell you about the one that just happened first. It was coming back from my daughter's house, broad daylight, and I saw a silver dot in the sky. And I remember thinking, that's weird. That doesn't really look like an airplane. And, I just watched it for a little bit, but I knew that there's a airport called Mount Comfort. And I was like, it's probably a plane going to Mount Comfort. But I was staring at it for a few more minutes. The wife was driving, and all of a sudden it just blinked out. It was just gone, and I'm like, wait a minute. So that freaked me out. But the other one was, I think, a little more interesting. I was going to my hometown of Elwood, Indiana, and I was driving there. It was like dusk, and uh, went up. I was on an outskirts road, and it was a well-traveled road. But I was going by this farmhouse, and there was a really bright light, which I thought was possibly the like just an outdoor light, you know. But as I got closer, I'm like, damn, that is like really bright. I'm like, that does not look like a normal light. So I'm driving along, and as soon as I got next to it, I slowed down a little bit, and I saw this thing. It was right above that like power pole, for
Mm,
lack of a better term. I'm
the
not sure
power
what they call it.
lines. Yeah.
Yeah, a power line, the thing that holds power lines. And it was just above it, and it was it had like all kinds of angles, and it wasn't really like it wasn't saucer shaped, it wasn't like a cigar, it was more rectangle. It kind of reminded me of like remember the old like Apollo like the thing that landed on the moon, the eagle or
Yeah.
whatever. The way it had like kind of weird kind of triangle panels and stuff that were kind of, it looked like that, and the light was like blaring right in my face, and it's like, well, the light's not even, pointing down. And now, keep in mind, I'm looking at this in a split second, basically, because I'm driving the whole time. I'm like, that's just a weird light, so I wasn't thinking UFO. So I drive right past it, and I'm like, should I go back and look at that? What if that was something? And then I thought, well, I'm not going to be here long. I thought, when I leave, I'll look at it. I'll see what it was. It'll be there. When I get back. And when I went to come home, I went back the same way, and I was like, okay, there's the farmhouse, there's the pole, but that thing was totally gone. So then I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. So that wasn't some weird farm implement that I'd never seen before, or some weird, light something. This was something that was here, a few hours ago, and now it's gone. So
Hmm.
So that I think, to me, that was my more convincing, UFO encounter. I thought that was pretty wild. I think the real bright light, I think was in hindsight, I think it was like to kind of blind anybody coming by, like to
Mm-hmm.
getting a good look at it. It was more like, shining a light in your eyes,
That way it
to-
obstructs what you're able to
yeah,
see.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I talked to someone recently, and the episode hasn't come out yet, but by the time this one does, it'll already be out. But he'd mentioned seeing a UFO that was right around the power lines and was actually kind of like flying around under the power line. I was like, well, that's really low for a UFO.
Yeah.
But when you mentioned that being by just right above the power line on the pole or by a pole, it's like, well, it's very similar to what he
Yeah.
described.
I know people have speculated, are they, somehow pulling,
Energy.
electricity off
Right.
of that somehow,
Yeah. You said you're originally from Elwood. Do you know a Tim Schwartz? He was originally from Elwood too. I've interviewed him. He's an author and a researcher.
I don't think so. Tim
Yeah,
Schwartz. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, he's originally from Elwood too.
Right on. Right on.
Well, so I've been to Elwood a few times. Used to have to drive through there, but I've never actually ever stopped in Elwood for anything.
It's probably best.
And so-
I don't know. I had a horrible childhood there, so it's like I'm trying to make peace with my past there.
right. So anything I've ever heard about Elwood was never anything good.
No, it was never anything good.
Yeah. So that's kind of the old thing so Emily is originally from Muncie, but they moved to Converse. So her and I lived in Converse for a few years. And there's a place in Converse that I won't say on air, but it used to be a rally for a certain group, and Elwood is known for that certain group too. I was like, yeah.
Yes.
So,
speaking of that, I was my mom and I had moved out on the outskirts of Elwood one year, and it was so far away from all my friends that all I did was just ride my bike out in the country, and I found a little patch of woods, and I went back in it and just exploring, and then out of nowhere in the middle of this woods was this round clear out spot with a big burnt something in the middle, and I remember thinking, that's really odd. I wonder what that is,
mm-hmm.
And then later on, some farmer saw me walking back there, and he stopped me. He's like, "Do not go back there." He was like, "That's for a rally of a certain group, like you said." And he said, "Do not go back there." So I did not.
Mm-hmm. There was those, and then in the 80s, we had up here the big, wasn't those type of rallies, but there was the satanic panic rallies that they were accusing people of going out there and doing rituals and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually my first thought when I saw that. Because it was right in the middle of that satanic panic. And I was like, that's a satanic ritual site. I guarantee it. It never dawned onto me that it'd be that racist group.
Right. So, that is the only thing that I've ever heard about Elwood is that's where all the racist activity rallies were at. And then this back in the 1930s and 40s, a place in Converse that was really one of their big hangouts up there too.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore. To their credit,
right?
It's becoming integrated quite a bit.
That is at least they've become modern. We're not completely back, which I never understood. In this isn't to get off on a tangent, but like during the Civil War and everything, we were like one of the free states and everything. But now you see a lot of the rebel flags and stuff up here, the Confederate flags and all. It's like we weren't even. Indiana was part of the the Union.
That would be interesting to look into because I've wondered about that myself. Like, how did that migrate that far north? Thought that was supposed to be a down south type thing.
Yeah, I see the flag flying quite a bit, and I was like, I mean, kind of strange because Indiana was never part of that, but
Yeah. It is very strange. Yeah.
well, I know there is a couple of other things that I was going to talk to you about. Like when it comes to like your artwork, where can people find it?
I am mostly selling everything on social media or at events I do.
Mm-hmm.
But probably mostly social media would be the best way to get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook. If you go to T.W. Williams Fine Arts, that's the best place to get a hold of me, on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. I'm on Instagram at Timothy _ Wayne _ Williams _ And let's see. Oh, on TikTok. I'm kind of new to TikTok. I'm still feeling my way with that. I'm too old to be on TikTok, but
I
here
feel
I
the
am.
same way.
Yeah. I'm just like, what is this? But I'm starting to figure it out. So if you go to The Painting Pirate on TikTok, you can find me there. And my book of hidden Bigfoot paintings, which is a super cool gift for anyone into paranormal or Bigfoot stuff, that is now available on Amazon.
Okay.
It might be in some stores at some point, but I'm not sure just yet.
If you have links for all that, I will put it in the show notes. So that
Yeah,
way
yeah, I can
anyone
send you.
listening can click on it and just go right to it.
Cool.
What events do you have coming up this year that you are at least confirmed with that you know you're going to be at?
This upcoming year?
Yep, 2026.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be in Red River Gorge.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie
Raymond.
Raymond.
Yep.
Gosh, why I'm spacing out today. Yeah, Charlie Raymond's show. And then I'll be let's see. I think I'm doing a show in Wisconsin now. And it's somewhere outside of Fond du Lac, and I haven't even got too into it yet. I'm just kind of doing it as a favor. I will be in I'll probably do CryptidCon again. And then the Ohio show, the Ohio Bigfoot Conference at Salt Fork.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I definitely know off the top of my head right now that I will be at.
I said I'll be at Red River Gorge. I've already
Good.
I paid my fee when I got that a couple weeks ago for that. And then
Wow. You'll like that.
I was there last year. It was
were you?
Yep, it was a good time.
Why did I not see you? That is
I was
weird.
I was right. I was the first place that people walked in and saw.
Oh, okay.
So when they first came in, I was the first grouping of vendors. So we were busy all day.
Oh yeah, I was too. It was great.
Yeah,
Super good.
I said that was the best show that I did all year was Red River Gorge.
Yeah.
I think the shows like that where they're actually free for the public to come into is a lot easier to draw in a crowd as well because they don't have to pay to come in. So that's just easier for them to walk in, look around, and we did good business.
Yeah.
The other one is the Indiana Bigfoot. Are you going to be at that one or have you not?
Yeah. I haven't nailed that down for sure, but yeah, I'm sure I'll probably do it. It's just so darn convenient.
Yeah. That's one of the ones that I look forward to because it's not terribly far away. But
just hanging out with all you guys is the fun part about that show.
That's what Emily and I have talked about is we enjoy the getting to know the people since we've been doing these things and hanging out and stuff like that. Because for her and I, with the kids and everything else, we don't really have a whole lot of time that we get to go out and do fun things with adults anymore.
Yeah, I know all about that.
So, but no, there's actually an event that I'm supposed to be at in October. It's up in South Bend. So if that actually comes to fruition, I'll throw some information your way.
Yeah, please do.
It's a cryptid themed event. They want me to be a speaker at it, so I'll see if that actually comes through. And if it does, they'll probably need vendors.
Excellent.
I'll probably say something to Todd and them too, since it's right in their backyard, basically up around South Bend area.
Yeah.
So,
They'd be all over that.
well, we've been going on for about 45 minutes, so we can probably wrap this one up. I usually go for about 45 minutes to an hour. So,
Perfect.
is there anything else you would like to let the audience know before we hang it up?
Yeah, if you get on Facebook or any of those social media sites, you'll see my work. You can always message me and just say, hey, what is available? And I'll send you pictures of everything I have available. And I do commissions. So if you have an idea for something, you have maybe a cool vacation photo that you thought was really cool and would love for me to hide a Bigfoot in it for somebody, I do a lot of that. So
you also
I'll
do
paint almost anything.
I say you do other work than just the hiding Bigfoots too. So if they want any type
Right.
of paintings, you can do all sorts of different type of paintings.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Tim, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, it's great talking to you, man. Tell Emily I said hey.
Yeah, I will.
We need to hang.
And we will probably see you here at one of these events coming up sometime this summer.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Will you be at Salt Fork
which one's that?
in Ohio?
I didn't ever send in the paperwork, so I guess not.
Bummer.
Yeah, I had information to get on there, but I never turned it in because I did like 11 different shows last year, and I'm being very selective of the ones I'm doing this year because
Yes, you have to be.
I lost out my ass for the most part. So
Oh yeah.
I took a huge hit last year doing all those shows, so I'm being very selective of the ones I'm doing this year.
Yeah.
But
I get that totally.
I said that I went to one in Tennessee. I drove 8.5, almost 9 hours, just one direction to get there, and I made $30-something.
Yeah.
And I spent I had to get a motel. I spent like a couple $100 for the booth, and yeah, it's like it's awful.
Did a show, drove all the way to Pennsylvania, did this show, and the people who put the show on did not really promote it real well.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was nobody there, and I lost so much money. It's crazy.
Well, I will talk to you here in a second about something in Pennsylvania that I was offered, and I'll see if it's the same one, but I don't want to say it here as we're recording.
Okay, cool.
Well, as usual, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And for anyone listening, make sure to check out Tim's artwork. And if you're interested in having a painting done, make sure to reach out to him. But thanks for listening. Thanks for Tim for being on here, and we will check you on the next one. If you would like to be a guest on Tinfoil Tales, remember to send an email to tinfoiltalespodcast@gmail.com, or you can also go to tinfoiltales.com and go to the contact section. Just make sure to reach out and get a hold of me, and we will get something scheduled for a future episode. You can also find Tinfoil Tales on Facebook and Instagram. Just look for Tinfoil Tales Podcast. You can reach out to me that way too. Remember to share the show around. Word of mouth is the best way to help the show grow. And just remember, truth comes at cost. Are you willing to pay the price?